is we need a console cable. You have to be consoled in. You can't telnet or SSH because the switch is not booted up yet. You're going to need some sort of terminal client, hyperterminal, secure CRT, terminal on Unix, whatever the case. You're going to need a TFTP server, preferably on the same subnet. So on your laptop, if you want to plug directly into the out-of-band Ethernet port, that's great. You're going to need the necessary boot code. So the boot code you should have loaded in the first place when you were, or whoever, upgraded that code. And you're going to need a static IP. So there's no DHCP client in the boot monitor. You're going to assign a static. Okay, so let's hop over to our terminal and we'll see. So here we are on our terminal. This is secure CRT, but it doesn't really matter what you use. Console, I'm on the console. Console's always 9600 8919 in our case. So I'm going to power up the switch plugged into the console, and then first thing I'm going to do is hit B right away. So it's going to drop me into the boot monitor prompt. So you see I'm at ICX7150-boot. So this is not a full version of software by any means, right? This is just enough to get the system up and running, go through the diagnostics, and then boot the real code after that. So in this case, it's from here, this bootloader, that I need to fix, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is do a print env, or print environment, and it's going to show me what my environment settings are, right? So this is for purposes of installing in the factory, or for recovery. We see that it's assigned a static IP address of 172.21.25.199. The TFTP server address it's assigned is 172.21.7.249. It's got a net mask of 255.255.0.0. Here's the name of the U-boot file, right? And here's the image name that it's going to boot. So depending on what you do next, it would boot a different one. So what we're going to do is we are going to assign a new IP address, a new netmask, server IP, and then a new file name to boot, and hopefully it will load the correct code and we can reboot into the proper code and unbrick the switch. Okay, so the way you're going to do that is with the set command. So you're going to set environment variables, right? So we're going to use a set, or technically set env, so I'll do it properly. And then it's IPADDR. So exactly the way you see them here is the way they're going to be typed in, not with the equal sign though. So 172.16.1.167. We will set env for our net mask, which is going to be 255.255.255.0. We will set env with our server IP to be 192.168.1.33. We will next set our U-boot file name. So this is U-boot is the boot code, right? So when you download the code, you will see under each particular hardware type, so under 7150 in this case directory, you're going to see a boot directory, and then you'll see the correct code in there. So we're going to set env for a U-boot of MNZ 10115.bin in this case, which would be the corresponding code to go with 8090A. So we will set it to that. Okay, I could change the image name if I was trying to boot an image name, but in this case I'm just trying to load new boot code, the proper boot code to go with our software. So again, if we print env, we can see our new settings, right? So 192.168.1.167, 1.33 is our TFTP server. Our net mask is a /24, and then our new file name MNZ 10115.bin. Okay, so we've got those. We'll save env, right, to save those after the switch reloads. Okay. And then the next thing we want to do, if I do a question mark here and look at the available commands, what we're going to do is the update U-boot here, right? So All I have to do is type this update uboot command, and it's going to get whatever that file name is that we set in the previous command, and load it into the flash. So we'll go update underscore uboot, and it will now copy that file over. So you see it loading the file. The file transferred okay, so it now copies the uboot image to flash. Okay, so TFTP to flash done. So we now should have the correct code loaded into the boot code, and so now it's going to stop that rolling reload. So in this case, I'm actually going to power cycle the box by pulling the plug and plugging it back in. One thing I may not have mentioned before was you should be plugged into the out of band management port, right? When you're doing anything from uboot, so you should be plugged into that out of band, which is where your TFTP server should be connected, or at least connected into the network there. So if we power cycle that box, it's now going to boot up. So right away we see it coming up on bootloader 10.1.15. T225 is just the hardware revision. So we see it coming up on that bootloader right away. So it should now boot. It'll boot into 8090A correctly, upgrade the firmware, etc. And then, going forward with 8090 and beyond, there's going to be only the UFI, or the unified firmware image. So that's a separate video on how to get there. But the next thing you should do is load that UFI and reboot one more time for 8090. That's not true for previous releases. It was an option for 8080, but in 8090 and forward, it's UFI only. But that's it. So that's how to unbrick your failed boot code attempt. All right. So thanks for joining. We'll see you next time, and have a great day. Take care.